All right, folks. It's Sunday. It's 9 o'clock. Welcome to the Crack House Podcast. My name is Mike O'Sullivan. Joining me as always in the Crack House is my buddy Chris Muscalino. What's up, brother?
Big Mike, what's up, man? Crackheads, what's going on? Happy Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. What's going on, everyone?
Nothing much. Nothing much, man. Long weekend. I noticed a tweet from from Kamala Harris, the vice president.
Yeah.
Real tone deaf tweet. Just enjoy the long weekend. Yeah, it's a long weekend because
Cool,
people
Kamala.
died. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate you. Memorial Day, bro. A lot
Yeah.
of people died, man. A lot of
Yeah, it
people
was
died for freedom.
super just like a super tone deaf tweet. Like
Mike, I don't even want to give her too,
yeah, I don't want to
at this
get into
point.
it. We got a lot to talk about on the show, but yeah, just real stupid.
Mike's
And-
father's a veteran for all the crackheads out there. He served in Vietnam. My grandfather served in the RAF. My father-in-law in the Marines in Korea. My grandfather in World War II. Mike's got a whole bunch of veterans and his family. Thank you to the service, to all the armed forces out there, the people who've served, done their time. I have many friends as well who served in the military. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yep, we thank you here at the Crack House, and this is to remember the ones who didn't make it back. Thank you for your service. All right, let's just get into it. What did we have? We were talking about. You had some movie list. We're talking about the summer '87.
So on Twitter last week, Mike, there was a tweet that went out talking about, it was kind of like a random thought about a flashback to the summer of '87, and if you had to pick one movie that you wanted to see, what would it be? And the list was Predator, it was RoboCop, it was the Lost Boys, and Predator. Those were the four choices. Now, obviously, there were a lot of other movies in the summer of '87. If I'm not mistaken, I thought Beverly Hills Cop was that summer too.
No,
Or, no, or was it '88?
Beverly Hills Cop 2, maybe '88. I think Beverly Hills Cop was earlier.
Was it
Yeah,
earlier? Was it '84?
The first one I think was earlier, yeah, like '84, '85, maybe.
Maybe I'm thinking of the second one where it
Maybe the
was
second
shakedown,
one.
breakdown. Everybody talking to the crowd of
Yeah.
light. Right, I think it was that one.
But I also looked up '87 too. I threw these in too. There was a lot of movies. You had
'87 was a great year, man.
Yeah.
You were 15 years old. Clancy, right?
Yeah. What was it? Freshman year? Yeah. Going into sophomore year, man.
Cool.
Getting
You
some
know, it's
hair on
the,
your nuts, you think you know everything, you got the world figured out. But there was
86.
there was a couple of other movies I saw on there too. Inner Space. Remember that
Yeah.
one? Martin Short,
Yeah, Martin
Dennis
Short,
Quaid.
right.
That was a pretty
Dennis
cool
Quaid.
flick.
Right?
Spaceballs.
Yes.
It doesn't hold up. It was like towards the end of Mel Brooks. I mean, it's still pretty funny. Superman 4, which was the worst one.
Superman 4. Oh, yeah, that was bad.
He fought
was
that
really
alien blonde-headed guy that no one knew what the fuck that was about.
Yeah, that
It
was really
just-
bad.
Yeah.
That was bad.
House 2. Remember House 1? House 1 was great. William Catt and
Yeah,
who
I
was it?
wasn't a big fan.
Norm from Cheers. It was a decent, like, funny type of horror movie.
Right.
The second
right.
one, I don't remember that much, but I know it also came out that year. And I think what else came? Oh, Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren, where he played He-Man,
Yeah, horrible.
which was
horrible.
horrible movie. So now what do you want to say? Out of those four, RoboCop, Predator, Lost Boys, and what's the fourth one?
Right. So it was Lost Boys, RoboCop, Predator, and let's see the fourth one. What was the fourth one?
Wasn't it Harry and the Hendersons or something?
No, it wasn't. Oh, Full Metal Jacket.
See, all right. So I only get to pick one, basically. Is that the
Pick one. And the second part of the tweet was, for those that were alive and remember '87, where were you? Where were you in the summer of '87?
Yeah.
The guy
15?
from my fraternity posted something like, "Where were you in May of '87?"
Mhm.
Which I guess is kind of like when they had their fraternity formal that year. But
Yeah.
I flash forward to the summer of '87. Where were you? I put in response to my tweet, I was doing bad shit in Astoria. I was in the Boy Scouts with you, a sophomore in high school. Um, Summers in Astoria, like we talked about, were pretty wild. People were still going to the movies. Astoria Park, the swimming pool. We're coming off the summer of '86, which was pretty wild, and late
Yeah,
December of '86 with Howard Beach and all that bullshit. And the Mets and the Giants winning the Super Bowl and the World Series the prior year.
that was a
So
crazy year, man.
it was a
That was a
crazy
great
year,
yeah.
man.
That was a great year to be a Met Giant fan, which I am. So it was great. Uh,
I'll ask the fans out there what is it? Well, let's encompass it to this. Besides the movies, for the audience out there, what was a greater time period for New York in the last 50 years? Was it 1969? Was it 1986? Was it? I'm trying to find a year where the Yankees and the Giants won the same year, and it's kind of difficult. The only thing I think would be close would be 96 and '07, but I don't think there were two teams that won that,
yeah,
since then. So it would have to be 69 or '86. What was a greater time for New York? Was it '69, which I probably lean towards, even though I wasn't alive, nor were you.
yeah.
But
No one knows. You never hear like stories about like New York in the '69. When they both won, the Mets and the Jets both won. You never really hear stories like, oh, the city was a party town or anything like that.
check it out, Mike. The
But
Mets won, the
yeah,
Jets won, the Knicks won.
yeah. But you never hear how like people never tell stories how like the city was on fire that year. Like think about like, all right, I'm not a Yankee fan. You're a giant Yankee fan. The summer of '77. People like will talk about that all the time, like with the Yankees and Son of Sam and everything like that. Like
Right.
'69. All right, Woodstock happened, but that was like 2 hours upstate. It didn't happen in the city. I don't. You never really hear how like. All right, it was great the Mets won. It was great the Jets won, but you never hear how like the city was electric. You know what I'm
No, I
saying?
think there was a lot more stuff going on, just nationally and in
Yeah.
general for it to be,
Oh no, you got the hippie movement, you got
right,
the civil unrest and things like that. But no
right.
one ever really, no one really focuses on like New York City was just like a sports mecca at the time.
Well, let me ask you this for the folks out there and for you, Mike. So no team won that year, but the closest thing I could think of to maybe the summer of '77 or '86, fall of '86, was was '94 when the Knicks and the Rangers,
Yeah,
barely missed it. Well, the Rangers won that year, and the
yeah,
Knicks barely missed it. That was an insane time, man. Between OJ and between the Rangers and the Knicks going simultaneously every night. The bar scene at St. John's
yeah,
was crazy off the hook. And I remember being in New York City the night the Rangers won, like unreal. Like we were just driving around Manhattan, people going wild.
yeah.
So
I know a
I
guy.
know, I
I
know
know.
it wasn't two teams,
Yeah,
but that was pretty crazy. You were a cop probably early in your career, right?
yeah. I was actually the night the Rangers won the cup. I was off, and I was in the city, and got out of the city maybe like 20 minutes before the game ended. And by the time I got home, there were people in front of like my wife's house where she grew up, just outside going nuts because the
Right.
Rangers won the cup. And I think I went out that night, had a long night. And from what I remember, the Rangers showed up at Goldfingers on Queens Boulevard, the old Goldfingers on Queens Boulevard. I'm sure
I
you
worked there.
you worked there. Two of my friends went in there and drank beer out of the Stanley Cup.
We got a guy in
So
my fraternity. It's a long story, but he allegedly was in a hotel room with Yari Curry and Marty McSorley, who supposedly was the guy's godfather. I think it was bullshit, but the guy used to always tell the story. And I caddied for Mark Messier back in the day in an engineers club. I met him. The story goes with that. I did a foursome with another caddy, and the caddy master told me in the beginning of the shift, 7 o'clock in the morning, he goes, I got a nice foursome today. You want to go out? I go, yeah, sure. He goes, you got to take a Yankee hat off. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you got to wear, an engineer's cap at the, in East Meadow. I go, I'm not doing that. He goes, well, guess you're not going out. And I go, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to wear the hat. So I get there, and it was Jiggs McDonald, it was Mark Messier, and it was Nelson and Doubleday from the New York Mets. And the story goes that I guess one of the two Met owners requested that no caddy wear a Yankee cap while doing the
yeah,
foursome. So I met Messier, I met the owners of the Mets, and I met Jiggs McDonald, who was super cool. They gave me a nice tip, but the moral of the story was those guys were dicks. They didn't want to see a Yankee hat on any
yeah.
caddy's head.
I heard that night the night the Rangers won in '94, like they were bouncing around Queens all night. Because I heard another story from a buddy of mine that was in like an after hours club somewhere on Queens Boulevard, and the kid was in there, and he answered the door to the club, and it was like Messier and two other guys from the Rangers that wanted to come into the club and party. And he goes,
Dude, it
yeah,
was an
man.
insane night,
And he
man.
goes, dude, we were just hanging out till 6 a.m. with the Stanley Cup in this like after hours club. So
I mean, of all the nights in sports in New York, I mean, I kind of remember the 70s Yankees a little bit, the 77 and 78 ones. I remember the 86 Mets.
yeah,
You know, I'm not a Met fan, but who could forget that? I remember the Giants' first Super Bowl win. The ones that stick with me the most were probably that night the Rangers won the Cup. That was insane. I think, I'll tell you what, when the Giants beat the Patriots, the undefeated Patriots team, that was pretty
that
insane.
was a great game. Yeah,
Not so much, the city went on fire, but just for pure moments. And the '96 Yankees, I remember people going crazy. I
yeah.
remember, I
I
remember
mean,
that pretty well.
I'll say this about just being a New Yorker, and you could definitely back me up on this. We don't burn the city down when we win anything.
No, it's expected,
We're
man.
we're like the
Act as
one,
if,
yeah.
right?
Act accordingly. We're
Act
like
as
the
if,
yeah.
right?
It never happens.
No, you always see it in like these whacked out Midwest
Yeah,
towns or places in the South or places that haven't won a very long time.
you
Even
know what?
Boston, even Boston,
Boston
Boston went crazy.
Boston gets a little crazy. I think when Philly won, they went nuts
Yeah,
a couple of times. Like
Detroit a couple times
yeah,
with the
Detroit.
Pistons, and
You know, it was a big town too. I remember in the '80s that used to go nuts, and they won a shitload. San Fran with the Niners, they
they're a
would
pretty
burn.
wild bunch, man. They're a
They
pretty
would
wild
burn
bunch
it.
out there.
And LA, when the Lakers won, I remember when the Lakers won when Shaq and Kobe were on the team, they burnt down. They burnt like 4 police cars, and Shaq is like a big police buff. He's like a part-time sheriff.
His father was a
Uh,
cop.
yeah, the father, and he actually went out and just bought like 10 new police cars after they won, and they torched these cars. Like
Yeah,
Shaq is supposedly one of the nicest people in the world. I've seen him once. He's definitely the tallest person I've ever seen. He's just this giant mountain of a person.
this whole thing came about from that tweet, and I guess just magical moments in New York. Over the last 50 years. I'm sure there were, obviously other moments, prior
Yeah.
to us being born and stuff, but the ones this struck me a little bit because we were, coming of age in that year in '87. It just struck me how many good movies were out that summer, especially these four. I mean, if I had to take a pick, I'd probably go. I, I saw Predator in the theaters. The others I didn't, and I mean, looking back, I probably would go see RoboCop if I had to pick. One of
Uh,
the four.
you're one ugly motherfucker. Predator, I like. I think I saw Predator in the movies too. I don't know
Predator
if we
was
saw
huge, man. Predator was
Predator. I
huge.
think I saw in the theater. Lost Boys is an awesome flick. It's the best vampire movie I think ever made.
I think you're right.
That what's that one that all the kids like 10 years ago? That Twilight bullshit.
Oh, they love that shit, man.
Yeah, that was all like they were like pussy vampires.
My
Like
wife loves that. Any chick loves that
yeah,
crap.
it was such a
The
chick
kid with the
flick.
nice hair, isn't it? The new
Yeah,
Batman.
like Kiefer Sutherland is kind of like a grizzly kind of dude. He was great. The other two, Alex Winter from Bill and Ted is one of the
Right.
vampires.
Yeah.
Just
Great
a great
soundtrack, man.
yeah.
Unbelievable
The two
soundtrack.
core you have both Corys in the movie. It's a
Yeah.
great yeah. The soundtrack is great. It's a great movie.
No, I would definitely agree with that. I'm not a big zombie guy. I'm not a big vampire
Yeah.
guy. The undead bullshit. It's not my thing, but yeah, I could see it. I mean, for all those things that you mentioned, great cast, great soundtrack. I got no problem with that.
And we were
But
talking like with when you saw Predator in the theater, we were talking about the original dude they hired for Predator was Jean-Claude Van Damme. And yeah,
you told the story, right?
yeah, it was a totally kind of like different movie. The Predator didn't look like that. They did that on the fly. He got there wherever they were filming in like Mexico, I think they were making the movie, and it was hot as hell. And they put him in this kind of different outfit, but it was all like rubber latex. And as soon as Van Damme found out like his face wasn't going to be shown in the movie, he was there for like 2 days, said, screw this, I quit, and was out. So they hired the guy was Kevin Peter Hall. He's a tall black dude.
Okay.
He was the Predator, and he was also Harry and the Hendersons. He did a whole bunch of movies in the 80s where he was always in costumes.
Okay.
Big tall dude. I think he passed away a long time ago too. Like he did these movies and then got sick and passed away. But yeah, Van Damme was doing the movie, didn't like it, and said, "I'm out."
You know,
And then
it just rang a bell, and that was an interesting story that you told. I didn't know that. You know, I knew
yeah,
somebody famous was supposed to do that, but you brought it up, and that's pretty interesting that John Claude Van Damme turned it down for that reason. I don't necessarily know if it would have hurt him or didn't hurt him. I don't know. I mean, the guy seemed to have fizzled out. He had a couple big time movies, and
well, he
oh,
was always like the B movie kind of
right,
dude.
right, right.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple. All right, you look at Bloodsport's a pretty good movie. Uh, what else you really got? You know, he did, and then
He did
everything
Time
else.
Cop. He did a
Time,
couple of
yeah, Time Cop is like his last one in the
right.
'90s, and then he just, I mean, he goes to a really like straight to video
There
after
were a
that.
couple really bad ones he made too. Like I can't
Oh, yeah.
even think of the names. That's how bad they were.
He did a
But
movie with Dennis Rodman. I mean, come on,
right, it was
you make him,
really, really
yeah.
bad. Yeah, 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 yeah. I agree. I agree.
But RoboCop is another one. That was a great movie. That was supposed to be rated X. They had to cut out a whole bunch of violence supposedly in
Yeah.
that movie. And yeah, Predator, Lost Boy, Harry and the Hendersons, another one. That was a great family movie. Superman 4, that movie sucked.
Nah,
Space, like I said, like we said, Spaceballs doesn't hold up anymore. I don't think so. It's just like
I guess
it
really what you
it
know what
has
caught
its
my
little
attention with it.
moments, but
You know what caught me attention with that tweet, Mike, was just so much of like just what we were talking about.
yeah, just nostalgia.
Magical
Yeah,
moments in one's life, especially in people who grew up in New York over the
yeah,
last 50 years, time periods that really, you know, wherever you are, you remember it vividly. And
yeah,
87 wasn't like the biggest year, but it struck with me because it was coming off such a major, you know, 86 was such a major year, but a lot of the stuff in 86 happened towards the tail end of 86, if you remember.
yeah.
So, like the Giants won the Super Bowl in January of
Mm-hmm.
87, the Mets
Yeah,
won in October of
yeah.
86. Howard Beach, the incident, the racial incident happened in December of that year.
Oh wow.
Um, which a funny story. We're in the Boy Scouts, me and Mike, right? And our parents, my dad and his dad, are on a trip when that shit happened. I guess my father was grabbing some wood and he was bringing it back to the campsite. And as he was walking over the hill, Mike's father is a funny dude. He's like one of my favorite people in the world. He's so
Mm-hmm.
funny. And he tells the other adults in the camp as my father's walking up the hill with all these wood pieces. He goes, "Yeah, you know this guy Bob." And my father's like this most Catholic, nice dude. Never bad to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves him. You know, such a nice guy. You know, I'm like the antithesis of him, right? And as he's coming up the hill with the wood in his hand, he's got this happy face on. Big Mike's father, says, "Yeah, you know, Bob, he just got released from work release in jail, man. Don't F with him. He's a fucking nutcase." And I'm looking at him, and my father's like got this happy-go-lucky, like whistling as he works type fucking attitude. And Big Mike deadpans it to the guy's like, "Yeah, really? He was in jail?" And Mike's like, "Yeah, don't fuck with him. He's on work release."
And yeah, if you have met Chris's dad, he is the complete. He's the nicest, low key dude you'll ever meet in like your life.
The story goes like the scoutmaster, God rest his soul, John. He said to me one time, he goes, "I understand where you come from, man." He goes, "This guy's like the freaking saint, like Saint Peter, and you are like the fucking devil, man." He goes, I don't get it." He would always tell the story, you know, at the Boy Scout functions about it and get a laugh out of it. God rest John, man. He was a good dude.
Yeah, John was a real nice guy. God rest his soul. Um, what else do we have? You had the Twitch stuff.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Twitch, but I also wanted to talk about magical moments about the Hamptons. You know, I put something
Oh,
on
that's right.
Twitter,
Yeah.
right? And you know, we led off with "Build Me Up, Buttercup." You know, the running joke is there was a bar that I used to DJ back in the early '90s, Gantries. We used to play what's called the Gantry soundtrack, and what I did was I basically pilfered part of the songs that you would play on a regular basis at Gantries from Hampton Bays, from the Bordy Barn. And for those in the know, you know, of our age bracket over the last 50 years, the Bordy Barn is this huge barn in, I guess, East Hampton where kids would party. And for the major holidays, kids from all over the tri state would come to this place. And for about 4 or 5 hours, you'd sit under this and drink your face off underneath this tent. And you get beer spilt on you, and you'd sing like all these cool 70s tunes. It was really an institution. I think anybody of our age bracket has probably made their way out there at one point or another. But I figured to bring it up because Memorial Day was usually the first big day of the week where people would go out there and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd meant to ask you if you have ever made your way out there.
I think I went there maybe once or twice in my lifetime. I know there's a guy we went to high school with. I'll tell you off the air who it is. He still goes out there.
Really?
He takes the train out there a lot.
Which is what we did at some point. Yep.
He's he's a responsible dude. He's got a job and everything, and he'll take the train from Queens and go out there.
Cop or non-cop?
No, not a cop. I'll tell you after the show. It's no big secret, but I'll tell you who it is after the show. And he always posts it on Facebook. He's like, "Hey, I'm out here again," and he's like the old dude hanging out there. And I'm like, God bless him, man. He's still single.
Right.
Hey, man, enjoy yourself, bro. That's the way I look at it.
That's super cool, man. Listen, I probably would go out there one more time before I kick the bucket, man, just for shits and giggles. My wife used to go out there. The weekend I actually met my wife, we went from the Bordy Barn to the Beach Bar, and that's where I met my wife. My wife went to Southampton, and the locals would kind of avoid the Bordy Barn, and they would go to the Beach Bar and these other places because the Bordy Barn was such a shit show. Yeah. And I think my wife told me a story at one point, or just said, she goes, I went there like I was 23, 24. And one of the bouncers, who was an institution at the place, he's a big Irish dude. He's like 6'7", 6'8". I guess he looked at my wife's ID and he's like, your Bordy Barn pass is expired a long time ago. You're not supposed to be here anymore.
It's true, man. Yeah, we all have a shelf life, man. When you start going to bars when you're older, man, it does start to feel a little weird sometimes.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. But
I mean, if you go out with a crew of friends, it's one thing, but if not, or like if you're with younger people, it feels real weird. Especially I couldn't even imagine going into the Bordy Barn at almost 50.
No, neither could I. But I think I would go there with a goof. Like if I got enough people, like of our age group, just for goof, shits and giggles, I would go in there, have a couple of drinks, couple of beers and stuff. It's different. Back then, in your 20s, late teens and stuff, whatever the hell you were going, you went there to try to hook up or at least have a good time. Now it would be, I guess, just for the nostalgia of it all. Just going back to what we were talking about a couple moments ago. And, just talking back, this weekend, without fail, I put it on Facebook before. You go out there on Friday night, usually somebody had a house, you'd crash out there. You go to the barn on Sunday, and it was always a weekend like this. So it'd start off really nice, like 70, 75. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you get there like at 12 o'clock, you'd be waiting there in line. Everybody's wearing tank tops and shit, and freaking the girls are dressed in, very skimpily, scantily. Yeah. And by 5 o'clock, everybody's hammered, and you're underneath this fucking tent, and you're freezing your ass off. All of a sudden, it's like now, it's like, got my hat on. It's like 45 degrees. Like, oh shit, let me get a hoodie. And you'd end up at this place, this Hampton Bays Diner place where, it goes back to another thing that I was mentioning before. Of all the places that you've seen, Mike, what was the biggest shit show on the force that you used to see the most stuff? Because this place right here, the Hampton Bays Diner, after you got out of the Bordy Barn, you'd end up here drunk and out of your mind at this place. And I can't tell you the amount of shit that went on in this place in terms of fights, altercations, problems.
Yeah, there was a couple places. There was a place when I worked in the Bronx. It was called the New Savoy, and it was like a catering hall, man. And on the weekends, they would do like these rap shows. And every now and then, I'd work a midnight. And almost every weekend, something happened there. And then there was another place down by it was right by the Cross Bronx Expressway, right off of Jerome Avenue. It was another catering hall. I forget the name of it. And anytime I did a midnight, something would happen there. Like it was just, everything would just spill out. And then when I went to, there was always like some kind of fight. And they'd be coming out. There was a fight one time we got there, and they were the women were all in like cocktail dresses. It might've been a wedding. And it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and like the place is spilling out. People are on both sides of it. It was a two-way street. People are on both sides of the street. There's people throwing punches, fighting, women fighting, guys fighting girls, girls fighting guys. And like we just got there, and it was just a complete shit show. And it was like some family function event. And then when when I worked in Queens over in Jackson Heights, like, listen, man, everyone loves to party. like, and most of where I worked was like Central American, South American people.
Okay.
I mean, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you'd be getting phone calls for a noise complaint, and you go into the backyard of like like say it was like a 2 family house, a garage would be open, a mariachi band playing at 2 in the morning. It was a shot girl walking around. There was just coolers of Coronas, and you'd be like, "What's going on here?" And the guy would be like, "Oh, senor, it's my daughter's christening."
You know,
Her
say, bro.
christening, dude. It's 3 a.m., bro. You gotta shut this shit down. Everyone's calling up, and that's what you would get, man. Like, yeah, and then all the bars on like Roosevelt Avenue, when they would pour out, like I did mostly midnights the couple of years I was there. They
Right,
would
right.
pour out 3, 4 in the morning, and then they'd go to like the restaurants, like basically like the Hampton Bays diner version of Roosevelt Avenue. They would get people getting stabbed in there, fist
Right.
fights in there, people getting robbed. Oh, it was, yeah. Roosevelt Avenue
Sometimes
could
maybe
be a
good,
shit show.
sometimes maybe shit.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So, no, I agree with you. I think that of all the places that I mentioned and you mentioned, I'll give you two other places that will
Yeah.
ring true for you. So, number one, it was the Hilltop Diner on Union Turnpike near St.
Yeah.
John's. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a shit show back in the day. We brought it up a couple of months ago when we first started doing this. The White Castles. How many things went down in the White Castles? Wherever the hell you were
Yeah.
in New York, you know, me and Michael, I guess one year it was New Year's Eve or some shit.
I think it was
Had
like 80.
plexiglass in the fucking front,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, bullets ring out, and we hit the deck, and like, what the fuck? Where are we in Compton, bro? I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was like,
Well, that White Castle where we would go to, man, there used to be a White Castle in Astoria on 21st Street, all the way up. It was like a quarter mile from like Queensbridge Projects.
right.
And at 4 o'clock in the morning, man, if you were drunk and you were hungry, you went to that White Castle. And
Dude, I think it was any White Castle. I've never.
but
been to
anyway,
one.
yeah, the one on Queens Boulevard and like 43rd Street over there, that was a mess. There's another one down by the Queens Center. Anytime you were at a White Castle, number one, you were usually, it was after a night of having a good time.
Right.
You wound up there. But I mean, yeah, I don't know how many fights I saw. And the funniest thing, like when you would ever see a fight like inside White Castle, the floor of the White Castle was disgusting. And like the grease, grease would be on the
bar,
well,
right?
no one could get like traction. You'd see like a guy throw a punch and then just hit the floor because his feet just went out from under him from all the grease on the floor of the White Castle.
It was wild, those places. And I'll give you
Yeah.
one last spot, Mike, and I'm sure you probably heard of this, being a cop for so many years. Wohop down in Chinatown.
Yeah.
How many times did we go there? 3 or 4 in the morning, fucked out of our minds, and all sorts of shit would happen at that place, man. It was so insane. Just like getting egg rolls served to you, and who's fighting, who's throwing shit. These Chinese people, God bless them. They were like, "You get out of here! You get out of here! You can't do that!" Just like cops there all the time. I know a lot of people that go there now. They never
It's
seem to have
super
an
calm
issue.
now. Yeah.
It's super calm, but I would say 20, 30 years ago, that wasn't the case, man.
Oh, it's like the whole city was like that. And for people that don't know Wohop, it is tiny in that basement, man.
Right.
It's like eating in like if your friend had a basement, put out 10 tables and said, "Hey, man, let's have some Chinese food," and then
It's like
all
something
hell
out of-
breaks.
And it's open 24 hours.
Yeah,
It used to be,
yeah.
from what I remember.
Yeah,
You could go there 5 in the morning and get shit if you wanted.
that was for cops. That was like the midnight special, man.
Right.
Like if you were a
Right.
cop working midnights in Manhattan, you took a ride over there. I mean, I used to know cops that worked they were Jersey City cops, I believe they were, and they used to come over and get Wohop because I mean, Wohop is kind of like a world famous place too.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there are people out near me that go there religiously now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I look at their shirts and stuff. I'm thinking to myself, you probably didn't go there 20, 30 years ago. And if you did, you probably wouldn't be going back because there was some shit back then. I remember a couple of times when we were in there, massive brawls. One guy came out of the kitchen one time. I guess there were a bunch of black kids in the corner. And I guess another group of kids called one of them the N-word. And all shit broke loose. And I guess one of them grabbed a knife. And this happened again at Hilltop, by the way. It happened at Hilltop. Same situation. And I ended up diffusing the situation by tripping the guy as he ran out the front of Hilltop Diner. The guy had a butcher's knife in his hand, and he was gonna stab one of my fraternity brothers. And
Oh,
as he was
shit.
running out the door, I tripped the guy, and the knife flew, and God knows what the hell would have happened. But
Yeah.
make a long story short, there was some wild ass places in this Hampton Bays. It definitely was the East Long Island version of all those places. But it was good times, man. Good times.
Yeah.
Memorial Day reminds me of all that shit. Did you ever make your way out there to the Bordy Barn or to the?
The Bordy Barn, yeah, I went to a couple of times,
Okay.
probably like in the mid '90s,
Okay.
but that was about it.
All right.
It was never like a pilgrimage for me. I mean, I stayed. What else was out there? Casey's. I went to a few times.
Yeah.
Because we did have, I think '97 wound up getting a house out there for like 2 weeks, and we were actually like right down the block from where Casey's was, and stayed out there. Went to Casey's and a couple other places, Mermaids. All
Dude, I
those.
can't tell you the amount of times we went out there. There was so many times where I would just go out there with guys. It would take us 2 hours to get out there, and then
Yeah.
we didn't want to drive home. Like you said, people that we knew used to have houses. One night,
Yeah.
me and this guy Rocco, we go out there, we're partying all night, and he's like, "I'm not driving back to Brooklyn. Let's just go find some place to crash." So we go up and down Dune Road, where all the kids from the fraternities and stuff usually have houses. There's a party going on. We walk in. Where are you guys? Oh, we know Karen. Karen who? Karen.
Yeah.
They just let us in, right? So 3 or 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, we conked out. He's like, "I can't drive, bro." He goes, I'm out. We just conked out on the floor. We woke up and these guys around us like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like, "Yo, we know Karen." "There's no Karen here." Like, "All right, see you later." And we just walked out. It was insane, man. Just absolutely
Hey
insane.
man, like I said, it was a different time. You had there were no cameras, there were no cell phones.
Nothing, man.
Oh, you know Karen? Let me call Karen.
Let
No
me
one's
call
calling.
Karen.
Yeah,
I don't have Karen's cell. Sorry.
let me WhatsApp her right now or send
Then
her.
you beep somebody, right? What's with that bullshit?
Yeah, get out of yeah. Thank God. Thank God we didn't grow up with cell phones, man.
Dude, I would have been in a lot of trouble back then, man. I can tell you that much.
Thank God. All right, so we had a good time. We did. We had a good time. We were talking about. You brought this up. These Twitch girls with hot tubs, man. What is this?
So, Twitch girls with hot tubs, right? So, in the streaming world, what me and Mike do, we do podcasts. We got a small podcast. This chick behind me is probably the biggest streamer on Twitch right now. And Twitch, just for those who are not in the know, it's basically a streaming platform for streamers that do video games. But it's gotten to the point now, Mike, where not only are people streaming like video games, kids playing and making money that way, but they're doing shit like this. So this girl, for example, I think her name is Caitlin Saragusa. And every time I open my Twitch channel up to do my FIFA bullshit, she pops up. And the reason she pops up is she's the biggest streamer on Twitch right now. She makes on the average about 10,000, I believe, a day.
Oh,
No,
not
is it
maybe.
more?
I looked up when you told me about this. I looked her up.
Okay.
I read one article, 30, 40 grand a month she's making.
Really?
Yeah. Between 30 and 40 grand. They said she's losing, now she's got to go find like a new platform to.
Well, she got reinstated today. So she's back on, she popped up again and she's all happy and shit. And essentially what it is, I guess the way these people got around it. So as I was saying, you can stream video games. There are DJs that go on here now and they try to, I guess they put their sets on. I used to do it on Facebook and YouTube as well, but the problem becomes, even with the snippets of music that we do here, Mike, it gets copyrighted. And if you do it long enough, it gets taken down, especially if you're monetizing your channel. So I stopped doing it because I didn't want to get hit with copyrights. And even now when we do it, I do snippets of songs that were small enough that it's not going to affect us. But someone like her, she kind of circumvented it. So basically, there's a thing on that I read where basically Twitch gave the guidelines and they talked about this. So basically what they said in regards to her is that there's been some confusion regarding whether streams from hot tub girls are permissible under their current rules and policies, which they understand to be under nudity, attire, and sexually suggestive content policies. So basically, I mean, when I looked at this, I'm like, it looks like the girl's stripping. That's basically what it is. And what she does is she's sitting in a hot tub well, not a hot tub, like this little kiddie pool in her living room. She's got some sort of video game up where she's basically mimicking the dance patterns. And as you pay to watch, you can just watch for free. But if you want to subscribe to her and interact with her, you can pay like $5 or $10 through her Patreon system. And what she does is she writes on her body your name or your handle, and that's how she gets paid. It's
what?
Dude, it's insane.
But let me ask.
Absolutely
All right,
insane.
let me ask you this: does this girl ever get naked?
No.
This is like,
and that's how she gets around it.
it's
So
like
what
little,
they said is,
but it's like little boy porn. It's like fucking buying a Maxim magazine, you know?
so what Twitch exactly, but what
yeah.
Twitch says is, as long as she's wearing some sort of clothes, as skimpily as it is or whatever it is, and as long as she's not
Yeah,
doing explicit shit or like simulated access simulation
Yeah.
and that bullshit, they can get away with it. But the crazy thing is, like Mike, like for me and you, I mean, we grew up on Playboy or whatever, or you know,
yeah.
just bullshit back then, in the written form, which has gone by the wayside. I guess that's what kids are doing these days. Like they watch
But,
anime and shit.
I mean, here's my thing though, man. If I'm like a 13-year-old kid, why would I pay $5 for this girl? I
have no idea,
I
man.
can watch whatever I want. I can watch girls doing this. I can watch 2 girls 1 cup right now if I want to. I don't have to watch some girl in a bikini write my name on her arm for
True.
$5-10.
For guys like you and me in our 40s and 50s, right, or 30s, whatever,
Yeah.
right, for the most part. But here's the thing: for the 12 or 13-year-old guy, right? Think about that for a second.
But
You got to explain to your mother and father why you're on XYZ website if the parents are really involved, right? This shit, is really explainable. Hey, Mom, I'm on Twitch. My wife asked me about it. She goes, "Why are you watching this shit?" I go, "I'll tell you why. It's coming up on my fucking feed. So when you turn Twitch on, she's the first thing that fucking pops up there. She's the biggest thing on Twitch right now." So I agree with you. For like normal human beings, like for normal adults and shit, you're not turning on to watch this girl in a fucking
no.
her hot tub, do some dance moves and
man.
write her name on your arm. But for the kid who's 12 or 13 is maybe watching anime and jerking off in his bedroom without
but
you being around.
I don't know. Listen, man, a 12-year-old kid probably knows 10 times more about computers than you and I ever will.
I agree.
So if he doesn't want his parents to find out that he's on YouPorn or Lobster Tube,
And that's why they're doing this. That's why they're doing this
I
because
don't
it's
know.
explainable.
I don't know. Man.
Look, my son is a little bit younger than your son. He's 12, 13, and I know he's doing dastardly shit here and there. But the reality of it is I think what he's doing, like he watches this anime shit, which is it's kind of like this. It's kind of like borderline soft porn and shit,
yeah.
right? And like it came up on my Netflix account, and my wife is like, "Yo, why do you have this shit? Who's watching this anime bullshit? This is nonsense." And she was watching it one time. She goes, "You see what's in here?" I go, "I'm not watching it." And we figured out it was my son. So we cornered him, and we're like, "Hey, who's watching this?" Oh, must be Daddy. Daddy's watching it. I'm like, "I'm not fucking watching it. Don't pin it on me." I go, "All his friends watch it." So
Yeah.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is you and I aren't turning this on, but for the kid that is beginning to explore himself, even if he's savvy with computers, this is a safer way for him or her not to get caught.
All right.
But the thing that I mentioned, and the reason I brought it up is she's the biggest thing on Twitch, bro. I mean, you saw the money that she's making.
I wonder is that Tony Siragusa's daughter?
I don't know, man. She's from the Houston area.
Probably not.
But there's about 3 or 4 of them. She's the biggest one out there. Siragusa is Tony's last name, but I don't think he's from Houston. I think
No, he's a Jersey guy. He's like
He's a Jersey guy, right?
yeah, like a South Jersey guy or something.
But
I
just found it interesting.
I mean,
And then the last thing was they banned her. They took off her ability to monetize for no reason whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
And she turned around, I guess, for a couple days, and she was out tens of thousands of dollars, whatever it was. And I guess the last day or so, she got her account reinstated.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
pretty
listen,
wild
man.
stuff, man.
I mean, listen, I understand with the pandemic, all these people now came out with like these different ways, especially women.
How to make money.
OnlyFans, you have this now with Twitch. It's so tough right now. I hate to get like serious, but it's like so tough to be a parent right now. To tell someone tell your kid to stay in school, and this girl makes $40,000 a month playing video games in a bikini in a rubber pool. What do you do, man?
For those who don't know math, you know what she's making $500,000 a year doing this bullshit.
Yeah.
Think about it. She's
I'm
making
gonna-
$500,000 a year, basically.
It's insane.
And then
man.
God knows if she's declaring taxes or not, right?
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. Think about that. You know, I don't think she's publicly fucking whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into it, but think about that for a second, dude. She's probably making, let's say she's not declaring any taxes at all. She's making the equivalent of $1 million a year
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
at the highest bracket, right? But guess what, honey? You know what? Sleepy's gonna fuck you pretty good with that 40% tax credit.
Yeah, she's
next
making
year.
over 400 grand, man. She's screwed.
Yeah, man. But pretty insane, man. You know, a little bit different from the days of Playboy and stuff.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, yeah. What happened to finding a Playboy in the woods? You know, those days are over.
Those days are gone, man.
Yeah,
Larry Flint, God rest his soul.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I really just 40,000. She makes 40 grand a month to play video games in a rubber pool.
$500,000 a year, folks.
half a-
$500,000 a year. You know how many years I got to work to make that kind of dough?
Yeah.
That Chicago?
That's crazy, man.
4 years for me, man. Minimum.
Great. Anyway,
Crazy, right?
yeah. I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, like I said, it opened up all these revenue. You know, with COVID, opened up all these revenue streams, and hey, man, people got desperate and had to make money. This girl figured out
People are
doing
ingenious.
Yeah, you had other girls that just went full out and went like that OnlyFans route where they did. I mean, I've never
I
paid.
saw another thing where like some women were getting in trouble. I guess they were doing soft porn, like
Yeah, the
these women like our wives' age, you know, like who are teachers and shit, and they were doing like videos where I guess it got back to their jobs and shit.
Well, there was one.
And,
I know there was one chick in California
Right,
that
that
was in
one,
the
right.
Catholic school. Her kids got thrown out of school.
She's making
'cause
like 20 grand a month or some bullshit.
but it seemed too like the husband had like a semi decent kind of job. So like, I mean, she just looked to make money.
Dude, think about it. I mean, think about it. I mean, you know, you're in your house. I mean, so what? I mean, 20 grand a month in these kind of times, that's 250,000 a year.
Yeah.
For what? Showing a little cleavage? I mean,
Nah, well, OnlyFans is usually like porn, basically. You're watching a chick doing like she might either be by herself playing with herself, toys or whatever, or she brings a dude in and you watch that. And that's what people who pay like $15, $20 a month. I mean, like it's like Patreon almost, where like they have different tiers. You could watch her do this, you can watch her do that.
right.
And guys got into it. And then what's that girl? She was on I think she was on a Disney Channel show or Nickelodeon show. That girl Bella Thorne. She made $1 million in one day, and she didn't show any skin. She wore like a bikini. She didn't do anything sexual. She just wore a bikini because she played it up that she was gonna show stuff. She showed nothing, made $1 million, and shut it down.
Listen, man, people are pretty ingenious, man. And, you know, some of these girls, I mean, look, prostitution is the oldest freaking business in the world, man. It ain't going away. People are just going to get a little bit, you know, a little bit more ingenious when it comes to shit like this. And, you know, being, you know, doing our little podcast here, you know, streaming my FIFA games in here and going on Twitch here and there, she's number one. And I'm like, it's mind-boggling, dude. I mean, literally. I mean, there was a guy, I guess a couple years ago, who was doing Fortnite. I guess the guy's name is Ninja. I think he was making like $1 million a year streaming these, like his video games, playing Fortnite and shit. But this is a whole nother animal, man. You know, and it seemed like they found a loophole. You know, like you said, you know, who the hell would watch this girl? I'll tell you, you know, there's enough people doing it for her to, you know, make that kind of bread. I think she was making like $1,000 an hour or some shit.
Jesus.
But whatever.
Got in the wrong business. Anyway, I saw we're talking about a couple of movies coming out. I saw the Ultimate Warrior documentary.
Okay.
A&E still had that the documentary series. I missed the Booker T and the Heartbreak Kid one. They were never for our age, they were never our wheelhouse guys. You know, Randy Savage was the big one that we watched that came out. And of course, Ultimate Warrior was one of the other ones. And he was a fucking wacky dude, man. Outside the ring, very kooky dude. Um, if you didn't watch it, you know, cover your ears. If you don't, I mean, there's nothing. We all know he's dead. He died right after going into like the WWE Hall of Fame, but he had a real messed up childhood. Grew up in like a trailer park in Indiana. Then he realized like sports was kind of a way out. They interviewed like his old football coach. He was like a real skinny dude. He got into the juice early in his life, started, steroids and everything else, got ripped. He had a real quick rise in wrestling. And one of the things I didn't know when he first got into wrestling, he was part of a tag team, and his tag team partner was the dude Sting. And him and Sting were
Not
tag
the singer
team.
Sting, right?
Not Gordon Sumner or whatever the fuck his name is, but yeah, Sting the wrestler, and they were tag team partners and had a big falling out over money.
Okay.
And that was it. Sting went his way, Warrior went his way. He called himself when he first came around, when he first came up with the Warrior thing, he came up with the Dingo Warrior was his name when he was wrestling in the South.
Yeah. I saw that.
And he billed himself from Queens, New York, for whatever reason. He was the Dingo Warrior, which is like Australian, and he was from Queens, New York.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why he probably did it. The movie The Warriors. Think about that. That's the only thing I can think of.
I think that was one of his inspirations for it. But he
Right.
was also very like when you heard like the Warrior talk, he was all very like mystical too. Remember when he would give the sun and the moon and the he was
Right.
But he was very the dude was very full of himself, and he got fired a few times for doing coke and steroids. Vince McMahon just like had enough of his shit. He wanted to make him like the heir apparent to Hogan, but this guy just kept getting too full of himself and was like, well, if Hogan's making $1 million, I want $1 million. And he always wanted like parody money with Hulk Hogan, and they were like, dude, you're not Hulk Hogan.
I saw a couple things about him. You know what he always struck me as, Mike, and you're right. You hit it on the head with him. So I haven't seen the documentary, but obviously I'm aware of the Ultimate Warrior. I remember him back in the day. He struck me as a combination of Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, and Mel Gibson.
Yep. Yeah.
Like circa like Lethal Weapon days, you know?
Yeah, they wanted like this guy of this like amalgam of Macho Madness and Hulkamania.
Which going back to 87 for a second, Lethal Weapon, I think, came out in 87.
Yeah. But it wasn't a summer movie.
It wasn't a summer movie, that's right.
It's not even a Christmas. People like to throw out Christmas movie for Lethal Weapon, but it's not even a Christmas movie because I think originally it came out in like March or April. But it's shot. It's supposed to be around Christmas. Great movie.
Let me ask you this: does it fall into one of those categories like Die Hard, where
I consider it a Christmas movie? Man.
I do too.
I Die Hard's a Christmas.
You want a shot at the title?
Yeah. Crazy Gary Busey.
Gary Busey's great, man. I love Gary Busey. He's great in the Buddy Holly movie. I love that guy, man.
He was crazy before he had that motorcycle accident and became a real cool.
Absolutely. He was in Point Break, one of my favorites.
Angelo Pappas. He was awesome in that movie.
2. Make it 2.
Utah, yeah, come on. I actually just saw a guy the other day with the Utah Make It 2 shirt on.
Dude, he's phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. But no, you're right. The Ultimate Warrior, like I said, I don't know what it was about him. I just don't think he had any charisma like Macho Man or Hogan. Yeah. And I think that's why he never really, went anywhere with it. I know you mentioned that he was kind of a dickhead, to a lot of people in the training room and stuff. And I guess the other wrestlers really didn't get along with him too well. Which, whatever, man. I mean, I just don't think he had any personality, to be honest with you.
What was it? They showed all these outtakes. I never, I didn't know this story. He was in an airport one time, and some little kid came up for an autograph, and he snapped on the kid. Like, get the F away from me, you little fucker, or whatever he did. And he had to issue an apology, like, on the on like a WWF show. And he was like, I don't even know. And they were showing like his outtakes. And he goes, I don't even know why I'm apologizing for this. What did I do? I didn't do anything wrong.
Because you're a douchebag.
Here's how weird that guy was. He changed his name legally to Warrior towards the end of his life. And the wife, his like second wife, who he had his kids with, kept referring to him as Warrior. It was like really weird. Yeah, he was a
Strange guy, man. Strange dude.
kooky guy. But hey, rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. Whatever. Um. Oh, oh, you said Joker 2's coming out, right? Or it's
Yeah, so we talked about this in one of the first episodes that I came on with you, and I just read that there's going to be a sequel now. They signed on for it. It looks like that. What's his face? Joaquin Phoenix is going to be on it. I haven't read too much about the plot of it, but I don't know if they're going to go in a different direction. I don't know if they're going to try to tie in Batman, but I got to imagine they kind of try to stay on, with the kind of like the same thing in terms of like the same kind of theme that they had in the original, where they dwell on mental illness and
yeah. I mean, well, all right. We both saw the movie. The movie was a huge hit. We both saw it. Think about it. If it takes up from the last movie, Bruce Wayne's only an 8-year-old kid, right? So
right. So
because it's they throw the Batman origin in there at the end of the movie. You watch his parents get murdered. They would have to do it maybe 15 years, 20.
I would think, which would kind of make sense. And Joaquin is kind of like, I think he could pull it off, the age difference.
Especially
but here's the deal, Mike. That movie made $1 billion at the world on the box office.
It was an amazing. Listen, man, what that guy Todd Phillips did with that movie, what Joaquin Phoenix did, like it wasn't a comic book movie. Like if you were a Batman Joker fan, it didn't go that direction. It just dropped in little nuggets throughout the movie, and that was it. The rest of the movie, really, I mean, like we talked about it. The rest of the movie is just like about mental illness and untreated, and how people mistake mental illness for criminality, how people don't understand in this country mental illness and how to deal with it.
Even with the gun problem, in the country,
Yeah.
we keep on talking about that. Look, we could talk about that till the cows come home. I'm sure people that'll watch me say this, will probably hate my guts for it and argue with me vehemently about it, however you want to say it. At the end of the day, you could take all the guns in the world out of people's hands in this country. You could take, knives. People are fucking crazy, man. They're going to find a way to hurt you. And until you can get that under wraps and deal with mental illness, like you're saying, you ain't never going to get rid of the violence and the problems that come about, or these mass shootings and these mass problems. Because these assholes will continue to get guns, they'll continue to get coddled, and they'll continue to go untreated. And ultimately, you'll have a politician or a group of people that'll just point, oh, it's the guns, or it's the knives, or it's this, or it's that, it's racism. Listen, I'm sure all of it contributes. But like you said, Mike, the underlying issue in this country, there's a lot of fucking crazy bastards out there. Look, I'm a crazy bastard, but I'm one of the people that admits it. I don't go around hiding it. People know me; they'll laugh at me. I'm harmless. It's these people that walk around, that go unchecked, coddled, enabled, and they walk around thinking like there's nothing wrong with them, and they're really out of their fucking minds. And you're in a bad environment. You have bad upbringing. You get access to these things, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And I think that movie showed you how badly stuff can go for people where this stuff does go untreated. So I think you hit that on the head.
Like I always say, you outlaw. Listen, you can make every gun illegal. We made drugs illegal in this country. People still got it.
Right.
People want guns, they're going to get guns. People want drugs, they're going to get drugs. It's like anything, man. We had prohibition in this country where we outlawed alcohol for what, a decade? And it just created a greater demand for it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same deal with, listen, drugs are going the way of legalization too. It started with marijuana. I got news for you. Prostitution is going to be legal. We talked about this. Prostitution is going to be legal at some point, in my opinion, in this country. It's already in parts of Las Vegas. It's coming. Listen, the government will find a way to tax it, just like they are with the drugs and the gambling. And I think on some level, you're going to be able to get harder shit too. Just like in Amsterdam, I guess in Europe, you're going to be able to do coke and you're going to be able to knock yourselves out.
Yeah, they decriminalize it. And what was it? Portland, Oregon?
That's it.
So.
Whatever.
All
But I did see this. I'm super excited because I did like that movie. I mean, it was a riveting movie.
Yeah.
And be interesting to see if they tie in the Robert Pattinson, the kid with the nice hair.
Is that going to be the shitty vampire?
The shitty vampire.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm bald. That kid, I always talk about. He's the kid with the nice hair to me.
I saw you saw the Batman. You saw the Batman, the new Batman trailers, right?
I
Have
did.
you
I
seen
did.
them? I I'm not like super excited about it. I
No.
think it's just like too much on top of everything. You know, you just had Ben Affleck do it. You know, Christian Bale, like the last 10 years, and
I
it's
think the
like,
last good Batman movie I saw was like the Christian Bale Batmans. Those were it for me.
yeah, I liked Affleck.
Affleck was okay, but to me the Bale Batman took the cake. I think if I had to pick one, whether it was Keaton or or him or Affleck, to me I think it's Bale. I think Bale stole the show for me.
He was good. I mean, I don't know. I'll go Keaton. I mean, Keaton's coming back in the Flash movie.
Oh, is
He's
he?
playing like an old Batman. So we'll see how
See,
that
to me,
goes.
when I think of Michael Keaton, I always harken back to Johnny Dangerously. I can never get that out of my head.
What a great movie.
Johnny Dangerous, you fartigan asshole. What was the other one that he was in when he plays one of the crazies, right? Where they're all
Dream
in the mental
Team.
hospital.
Yeah, Dream Team.
The Dream Team, right?
Yeah, Miss Beetlejuice. Dude was Beetlejuice before he was Batman.
Beetle, the Chicago mayor or the movie?
Yeah, Mr. Mom. The good dude was Mr. Mom. So I don't know. Oh, speaking of shit. Well, it wasn't that shitty of a movie, but it was okay in my opinion. Army of the Dead. I saw it on Netflix, the zombie flick. I know you're not a big zombie movie guy, but
I saw the trailer for it. You know, when you said it to me, I'm not a big zombie guy by any means. I've never watched really a full episode of The Walking Dead. That Brad Pitt Zombie Nation movie a couple years ago. I never really.
That wasn't a bad movie. I
Okay.
like that. Z Army, Z Nation, whatever the hell it was called, Z something.
I think the closest I've gotten to like a true like zombie flick would have been I Am Legend with Will Smith.
Great movie. Another great
That's probably
movie.
the only one I've really watched from start to finish. And my wife is like one of these conspiracy people when it comes to zombie stuff. She's like, "Yo, that shit's gonna be real. They're gonna mix the common cold with rabies, and you're gonna get all sorts of like, you know, that's what we're aiming towards at one point." I'm like, "Okay, all right, I get it. Yeah, I understand. Right, we're all gonna be fucking zombies, all like rabid animals jumping off rooftops, you know,
Yeah.
and shit, and eating each other's brains. Okay, I get it."
But yeah, this one, Army of the Dead, it was with Batista, the wrestler, and then a whole bunch of other people. Like I really didn't know.
It's Zack Snyder, right?
Yeah, Zack Snyder directed it. It's not the opening scene is great. They're doing all this stuff, but it's like a typical zombie. All right, there's a whole bunch of money in a hotel in Vegas.
Right.
They tell them it's $200 million. If you get it out, you get 50 million to split it amongst your team. He put, it's like the Dirty Dozen. Then he puts a whole team together. Blah, blah. The one reason I wanted to see it was comedian Chris D'Elia was in this movie. Then he got Me Too'd, and they had to like airbrush him out of everything, and they CGI'd him out and put in another comedian, this woman Tig Notaro, to do all his scenes. So I just wanted to see that, and the movie was okay. Like I said, if you're into zombie movies, it's your run-of-the-mill zombie movie. You know things are going to happen. You know people are. He goes in with 10 people. All these people too. This is the other thing I've noticed now. If you're not a big name actor, you're dying in the movie. It's like it's like anything. I didn't know who any of these people were. I was like, all of these people are dying, and I was pretty much on the money with it. With everyone pretty much eats it when you watch the movie.
Some of my buddies, some of my buddies who happen to be black and shit, my really close friends and stuff, they always laugh. They're like, it's always the blacks that get fucking killed in these movies first. We're always the first to get, bite the bullet. It's never the white dude. It's always the brother that gets it. The brother, is the first to get it in these fucking zombie movies or these horror flicks. So yeah, I get it.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. There is a black dude in it. He pretty much makes it I think he makes it like the whole way through pretty much.
Okay.
Whitey eats it in this one. Because it's like white dude, a bunch of white people eat it. And he's got a couple of like Spanish people on the team. Mexicans, they eat it. The one white guy gets it. He gets mauled by a zombie tiger. That was actually a pretty cool scene. But the rest of them, a lot of them are getting it with like they're getting like, the old crowded around by 100 zombies and pulled into the crowd thing.
Right, and that seems to be like
that
the
old
general...
gag. Yeah, old gag.
So, like, I mean, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, so like, I know you're not, but I mean, there's an element of that the White Walkers, the
Yeah.
Night King, they're undead. So there's scenes like that where they like surround the heroes and
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
and they're like, they just seem to be all the same though. It's like all these fucking same like mob type movies where like there's thousands of zombies climbing walls and biting
Yeah.
people and shit. And
Well, this one had like different classes of zombies. Some of them are just like the walking zombies,
right,
and then
right,
other ones were like those I Am Legend fucking Spider-Man climbing the wall zombies,
right.
like Superman zombies. Those are
Superman zombies, right?
Yeah, it was pretty. It
I
was
think
like
I'd sign up to be a Superman zombie. Where you can like do
like
crazy shit.
Yeah, Bizarro Superman or whatever. Yeah.
Bizarro Superman,
Me,
Bizarro
I'm
George
sorry.
from
Yeah,
Seinfeld.
me, I'm sorry. But what else did? Oh, you know what we didn't get to? Hold on.
Yep.
Let me get his picture up. We got some terrible news. Captain Stubing.
Oh yeah, man.
Yo, the dude was 90 years old.
Dude, some of these people, man, they're living longer and longer. Like the presidents, for example, like George Bush died like at 90 somewhat years old. Gerald Ford,
Yeah.
same deal. Jimmy Carter's he's had brain surgery. The fucking guy's close to 100.
Yeah, I think he's like 96 now, Jimmy Carter.
These guys are up there, man. He's up there too, the Captain Stubing.
Yeah, Gavin
Is
McLeod
Isaac
was.
still alive?
I think so. He's probably in his 70s or 80s
He's
by
up
now.
there too, man. He's got to be our father's age, man, or close to it.
I think he might be older than that. Who knows? But Gavin McLeod, 90 years old. Captain Stubing, one of the greatest shows when we were growing up as kids. It was just one of those cool shows.
I think I probably have that somewhere. I used to play that at some of my shows. There's actually a band that I watch called Oil More. They dress up like in S&M masks and they sing like old 70s hits, and they lead off their show with the Love Boat theme, which is freaking phenomenal. And they do it by guitar, and it's really a spectacle, man. But I think that, along with the with the Fantasy Island, I think that was much must watch.
Yeah, that was like always the double feature. Love. Isaac the bartender, Ted Lang, 73.
He's up there, man.
Oh, he's getting up there too. I mean,
is Julie still alive?
She was a big junkie on the show.
I think she's dead, man. I don't think
I
she
don't know.
made it.
Hold on, let's see. We'll go through the whole cast right now. Woo! So who do we have? True love, exciting, and where is she? Oh, the cast. Bernie Kopell was Doc. Is he still alive? Dude, that guy's pushing 1933. So what is he? He's got to be 80 something.
Close to 90.
87. Okay. Gopher. How old's Gopher? He's 73. Yep. Gopher's 73. Who else we got? Oh, Julie. Oh, she's still alive. Oh, she's the youngest. 1953 she was born.
Okay.
So what does that make her? 67.
67. Okay.
Yeah, she was like a big junkie. They kicked her off the show. Oh, the daughter too. Remember he had the daughter on the show?
Yeah, man.
1966. So she's 60. So she's like 55.
I don't know if this one was my favorite or if it was Fantasy Island, man. I think Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island was cool. I mean, it had tattoo. The plane.
Dude, my cousin's husband, Chris, he always tells the story. He's like, we used to laugh about it. Like, we loved Fantasy Island. It's like you watch it, and at some point during the show, these people would go, they'd live out their fantasies, and Tattoo would come and like, you can't stay here anymore. You have to leave. It's just like, they're like, no, I don't want to go. I'm having too much a good time. No, you can't stay here. You have to leave now. And it was like every episode, like maybe halfway through the episode, Tattoo would come out and be like, yo, you got to leave now.
It was a creepy kind of like Fantasy Island could get very creepy.
Yeah.
Because some people went there with the fantasy of like, oh, they want to be, a superhero or a secret agent. And then it would be like, the one guy would be like, this man wants to dance with his dead wife one more time and say goodbye to her. and you'd be like, "What the fuck, man?"
Dude, yeah, it was a strange show, man. It was a little creepy.
It could get like real creepy, but it was a great show. They remade it like a couple times, and I think it bombed. I think they even made a movie, and it bombed. They did like
Do
a
you think
fantasy.
either one of these? Let me ask you this: for the cancel culture crowd out there, do you think either one of these shows could have been made and done today?
Love Boat, I'll say yes,
Yeah.
because it was just like more of like, I mean, well, if you made Love Boat now, Gopher would be like a trans person. Isaac would probably be like a lesbian, and Doc, I don't know what maybe Doc would just be Doc. Who knows? The captain would definitely be a woman.
Yeah.
Like it would be the woke boat. It wouldn't be the love boat. It would be like
Sounds
woke
good to me.
boat. Fantasy Island though, yeah, why not?
I think
mean,
I think
could-
you'd have
could it
less
did-
problems. I think you'd have less problems with Fantasy Island than the Love Boat.
Yeah, because Fantasy Island, it did. It had like that Twilight Zoney kind of vibe. It was. It was some episodes were like kind of cute, and then some would just get like could get like downright creepy, and people would wind up getting murdered, and
Right.
people wanted. I remember there was a whole bunch of episodes where people would go to him halfway through and like, "I want out of my fantasy." No, you have to. You want to do fantasy. You have it for the whole weekend.
Right. You have to leave. You can't stay here.
Yeah. Tattoo was supposedly a wild man.
He's a wild man too.
There was a
Yeah.
great documentary did with him a couple of years ago with Pete Dinklage about him, how he died and everything. I think he committed suicide.
Yeah, it was a sad story with that guy.
But he partied like a rock star, that dude. It was crazy.
Dude, he was huge, dude.
If you
He was probably, I would say, between like 80 and 85. I mean, he had to be one of the biggest actors out there. I mean, he didn't do a lot of shit outside of Fantasy Island,
Yeah.
but I can't imagine a show, he was definitely immersed in pop culture back then.
Oh
right?
yeah. Between that, he was in like one of the James Bond movies.
Right.
I think he was in a couple other little roles here and there, and then he
Little
just kind of
people
like
out there. Let me ask you a question: him or Arnold from Different Strokes? Who was bigger? Not in terms of stature, but in terms of like popularity.
Oh, it was Gary Coleman.
You think
Hands
Gary Coleman?
down. Gary Coleman was like I'm trying to think like who would you compare him to, but Gary Coleman was the shit, man. He was on
Was
like
he though? I mean, he did Different Strokes, and I mean, outside
but
that,
he was on everything else, man. He guest starred on everything. I think he probably even guest starred on a Fantasy Island, probably.
you're probably right.
That's how popular that kid was,
Yeah.
man. I mean, everyone wanted to be on that show. Different Stroke. I mean, he had Nancy Reagan on that show, telling people not to do drugs. He had, what was it, Mr. T? I remember when Mr. T
He was on there, right?
He had so many like famous athletes on at the time. Yeah, definitely Gary Coleman. And then his parents.
I would agree.
And then his parents just robbed him
Dude,
blind,
he
man.
fell off a ladder. I think that's how he died. He was fucked up too.
No, he had like kidney issues. He died in the
He had
hospital.
kidney issues, but he fell off a ladder.
And maybe
and
that
he
fucked
went
him
into a
up
coma, and that was it. Yeah.
Poor bad guy. Rest in peace, Gary Coleman, man.
Let me ask you a question: does that show fly today? I mean, there were a couple episodes in Different Strokes that I don't know if you get away with. The one with Dudley and his underoos, hey, and the child molester was like,
Oh
yeah,
no, that one doesn't fly.
that
no.
doesn't fly today, right?
That was one of the creepiest, weirdest episodes. I mean,
Right? How crazy was that?
Yeah, Dudley, take your shirt off. Let me see your muscles.
Take your shirt off. Let me see this. Come back to my room. Like, whoa, what the fuck is this? I
And-
must have been
and-
about
and-
8, 9 years old, and I'm on.
And it was the dude from WKLP in Cincinnati, the
Yeah,
big guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was what a
dude, that would have
weird-
been like a career killer for that guy today.
Yeah.
You know, think
What
about that one for a
what
second.
that's a weird. Yeah, that was a weird episode, man. For like little, I mean, I get they were trying to send a message about anyone could be a child. Oh man, that was
There
Dudley.
was another one where I guess Kimberly was kidnapped along with him, and it was another creepy episode. Where
Yeah.
the guy was about to rape her, I guess, and they finally found her. Dude, it was wild shit back then.
Yeah, that was they would try and go out on a limb sometimes on those shows, but oh shit, man, it's about that time. We're gonna start wrapping it up.
Time flies when you're having fun, folks.
Different strokes for different folks, man. What
Anything good for tomorrow?
I don't know, man. I don't even know how the weather's supposed to be.
Weather's supposed to be shitty. It's supposed to be like
so-
today.
Yeah, it was horrible today for anyone. pull the curtain back a little. We're doing this Saturday night. We're recording, and Saturday all day just rain. It was just shitty out all day.
Dude, without fail, it's like what I said in the beginning of the episode. We used to go out to the Body Barn Sunday morning. It'd be nice, 70 degrees, no rain, nothing, not a cloud in the sky. And 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you'd be under that tent, bro. And it was like this. It's 45 degrees. And like, yo, what about climate change, bro? What about global warming? It's May, I'm sure the climate people love that comment, but
yeah.
anyways.
All right, what do we got? Plug it away.
All right, man. So, usuals. Jay Cristiano, Cardinal Financial. Jay's about to ready to help my sister-in-law with a refinance. So please reach out to him. He's done wonders for me and my family. He's fantastic. Works super quick, super cheap. Make sure to give the promo code 4215. His telephone number is 844-442-7334. That's Cardinal Financial, Jay Cristiano. Please check out my website, DJ Chris Clash. I'm very busy. I have a couple things coming up already for the month of June. July shaping up to be the same way. And I can tell you, if you're looking for a vendor to get married, I'd get cracking because things are going to get tight very quickly, not only for the DJs, but every other wedding vendor out there. Lastly, check out my buddy Tommy Devitt, Shopping by Tommy, 5-Star Shopping. His telephone number is 917-559-8264. La Familia is always a nice spot in the Smithtown area. Insignia Steakhouse, 2 fantastic eats. If you're in the area, check it out. That's all I got, man.
All right. Let me see. What didn't we get to? The guy who spit on the guy at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
The soccer guy, Baggio.
I wanted to talk about that.
Bill Gates' divorce. A Bitcoin guy that traded 2 pizzas and wound up losing $300 million. Maybe we'll get to him next week. Like I said, check out my guy, Jack, at I Can't Paint. My buddy Frank on Twitch at Provmatic. Pat Dixon, New York City Crime Report, his podcast, which I've been a guest on the last few weeks. You can check us out on Apple, Spotify, anywhere else you can download audio podcasts. And also check out his show, The Crime Report, on Anthony Cumia's Compound Network. Once again, R.I.P. Gavin McLeod. And if you're looking to see live comedy, Dylan's Bar in Queens in Forest Hills, every Wednesday night. Shows hosted by Christine Meehan Berg. Check it out. Chris, take us out. We'll see you guys next week.
Mike.
What?
Check out OL More. So I'm going to play a little snippet of what we just played to take us out here tonight. OL More is a cover band. They do 70s and 80s hits. Fantastic. If they're in your area, your bar, whatever, check them out. They're fantastic to watch. With that, guys, everybody have a good night. Have a good weekend. Memorial Day. Thank you again to all the veterans out there for serving our country.
Exciting and new. Come aboard. We're expecting you. And love. Life's sweetest reward.
Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend. Have a good